Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
me, Rob. Oh, we got a show for you guys tonight.
Oh, yeah, we got a new coach to talk about there. Got to talk about that. We let him go last week, so obviously somebody's got to replace him. We got some interesting comments coming out of Tennessee, so we got to talk about that. So they do hold all the cards there at pick number 1. We got somebody trying to recruit players to the Giants on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it nowadays. I still have trouble calling it X. And then we got also the all-rookie team announced by the Pro Football Writers Association. So how many Giants do you think made that list? We're going to find out. PFF names the most improved Giant this past season, and Mel Kiper released his latest mock draft there. So we're talking about who the Giants got according to Mel. And we got a Giant leaving. It's no longer a Giant. Ex-Giant now.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Is X going to give it to us?
Go into the land of P.D. Pablo. So let's get right into it there, guys, with the first bit of news here. And that's the Giants land a brand new DBs coach. You got Marquand Manuel being signed on there. If you're a fan of New York sports in general, the name may sound familiar because he is actually the safeties coach the last couple of years there. For the last 4 seasons, I should say, with the Jets. Started off his career as a player, was a defensive back, mostly a safety. From 02 to 09 with stints with the Bengals, Seahawks, Packers, Panthers, Broncos, and Lions. And what do we always say about players who don't make it in the league but don't quite make a huge impact and don't stick around one team forever and be that lifer? A lot of times those are the best coaches.
Yeah.
It's funny how the best players, you don't see like Tom Brady, for example. Let's talk about that guy. I guarantee he'll never be a head coach. Things come naturally and just to people like that. With him, it's his drive. Same as Wayne Gretzky failed as a coach. Michael Jordan failed as an owner. All these things happen because it comes naturally to them. The scrappy guys, the guys who are barely NFL players, are usually the best coaches, really. Hell, look at Bill Parcells. He quit in this first, training camp with the Lions. People forget that one all the time. Guys like Bill Cowher barely made it onto the NFL. That's what happens. So coaching-wise here, started off as an intern with Florida in 2011, then was an assistant special teams coordinator the next year with the Seahawks. Then they made him a defensive assistant in 13 and assistant secondaries coach in 14. Then he went with Dan Quinn over to Atlanta, was their secondary coach the first 2 years, and then their defensive coordinator the next 2 years as well. Defensive backs coach for the Eagles in 2020. And then, like I said, the last 4 seasons with the Jets as their safeties coach. So, yeah, got a resume, guys. Got a resume. And as a coach, he's gone to 3 different Super Bowls. 3 of them. Only won 1, so not the greatest winning percentage there. But he does have a track record of success as a defensive coach there. Listen, if you want a guy that we can go ahead and win with, this guy's already proven you can win with him as a defensive backs coach. He's gone to 3 Super Bowls as an assistant coach. Does that mean he's an upgrade? You all know how much I did not want this change to happen. Not saying that, but it's not like the Giants brought some bum in here that doesn't have any abilities to coach whatsoever. He's got abilities to coach. We're going to find out. And maybe he works better with this coaching staff. Sometimes it's not how good a coach you are or how good an employee you are. It's just how you fit and mesh with the rest of the team. And if that was the issue with Jerome Henderson, which is what you're hearing at times, then, perhaps it is for the best. I don't like it. I don't like to lose talent, but we brought in somebody who's got talent, and you can definitely sit there and say the Jets secondary wasn't exactly the problem last year. You say personalities in the locker room were the issue, but that's a whole separate topic for another day. So,
yeah,
interesting fact about him. His parents are very, very much in love, I think it's safe to say. He's one of 19 kids that they had in a 25-year span. God damn, that's a TLC special waiting to happen, guys.
That pull-out game is Terrible.
Yeah, like they were at 19 kids and counting before 19 kids and counting. Like that's crazy. Oof.
Oh my
I can't
god.
imagine having that many kids. Like what size house must they have had? Jeez. But anyway,
How many people slept in the same bunk bed?
who knows? How many layers did the bunk bed have? There's 5 beds on top of it. Anyway, welcome to the Giants, and best of luck to you with the new position there. I will say this though,
Yeah.
I will probably almost bet that the success of his job is going to hinge on one person, Deontay Banks. I think that a lot of Jerome Henderson's issues last year were the issue with Deontay Banks and how Banks was responding to his coaching. You know, I've heard rumors about him and Shane Bowen and the issue there potentially because, you know, Henderson wanted the job. It's always an awkward situation. But the big thing was Banks. And Banks needs to take a huge step forward in the Giants' eyes. And if they think that this is the guy to do it, then hire him by all means. But how good Banks does or doesn't do is going to affect a lot of how we assess this move at the end of the year.
Yeah. That's safe to say.
Yeah. And along with that, I'll give that as a side note as well of the rest of the youngins too as well. I mean, you got Tyler Dubin, Drew Phillips, you know, Cordell Flott. You got a lot of guys that are still very young corners on this squad here. And they got to get developed. They got to get developed the rest of the way. So. All righty. Let's talk about a press conference that wasn't even with the Giants per se. The Tennessee Titans went ahead and announced Mike Borgonzi as their new GM. We've talked about him on the show before, assistant GM for the Chiefs. We've talked about him multiple times as a potential GM candidate for the Giants, even before Shane. And, you know, with now, you know, the rumors of firings of Shane potentially this season. And big fans of the guy. I think he's a good hire for Tennessee. But he did talk about some things that I don't think we really expected here out of him. So first at that press conference, Chad Brinker, who was the Titans president of football operations, said, "We won't pass on a generational talent with the first pick in the NFL draft. We won't do that." Interesting. Because then Borgonzi said, "We won't pass on a generational talent with the first pick in the NFL draft." That's two guys saying that. Now, no matter what you think of Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, because there's people high, there's people low, there's people mid. We're probably the mid people. But when it boils down to it, there's not a lot of people that would call those two generational talents. You know, they're not Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. They're not, you know, Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning, depending how far back you want to go in this, you know, the drafts of quarterbacks here. They're not that category of prospect. They're the mid category of prospect that's going to get forced to go in the upper first round because of need and the position. Point blank. That's where they are. You know, I mean, so it makes you wonder if they're not looking at taking a quarterback first overall. Now, they could be looking to trade. Maybe they're just trying to get some trade buzz going and find out what they got there. And, you know, Borgonzi said it's always the goal to get as many picks in the top 100 as you can. I'm coming into this with an open mind. We're going to evaluate every situation to make the best decision with that pick. So he's open to trade. So, but at the same point, what is he going to say? No, we're not trading. You know, you got to keep in mind, this is the time of the year for smoke screens and BS. That's what we got. So, we'll have to see, you know, what happens to this overall. But, you know, if the Giants don't select a quarterback, guys, the Giants don't select a quarterback, that guarantees the Giants one of the top 2 quarterbacks in this draft. Point blank guarantees it. Because we're at 3. There's no way we're not getting one if the Titans take, let's say, Travis Hunter at number 1.
Yeah.
Who is the one guy that you would say is a potential generational talent.
Is it Henry?
A wide receiver or corner and provides the other one as well on top of that. You know, this is an issue. This isn't, where you might be able to go ahead and trade up even. You got literally a team that wants to potentially trade. We can trade up to get number 1 even, which should be funny because that's where we should have been if we just did, beat the Colts. But it's an issue that we have to do that potentially.
Yeah.
If we could do it and the value is there, and you can get whatever quarterback you want, the Giants have to at least consider that. Because if you sit at 3, you're going to get whatever quarterback's left over potentially. And that's not a good scenario to be in. You want to go get the guy that you're positive about. If you're positive about one of these two, and that's the other part of this, how high are the Giants going to be? We don't know. We don't know how high the Giants are going to be. And they probably don't even know right now either, to a certain degree. Opinions do change. Next week's the Senior Bowl. That's going to affect some people on some of the scouting and stuff like that. And they see guys like Dart and people like that going in there and see what they do.
Yeah.
But this is the potential. If the Titans don't go ahead and take that, it's going to be potentially be some craziness if the Titans take Hunter.
Watch they take Will Howard first round, first pick overall.
I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think a lot of this is smoke and BS. I really do. I think they'd be ridiculous not to do their due diligence to find out what somebody willing to trade to go up to number 1. Especially if a team like the Giants is willing to do it. Because if you go down to 3, you're still going to get either one of the 2 quarterbacks or Travis Hunter. And if you can do that and get some extra picks, and you're not too sold on the 2 quarterbacks to begin with, it's a great position to be in.
100%. And just like they said, you get more multiple picks in that top 100.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, to me, it's an intriguing thing, but I don't want to put too much into it because it's so early on in this time of the year. If the rumors are still going around a few months, February, March, you're still hearing this kind of stuff, then maybe that's the scenario. Maybe that's what it is then. Maybe they aren't too big on these 2 quarterbacks. Maybe they do want to move. Time will tell. We'll find out.
Maybe they really like mayonnaise in the coffee.
No, they don't. They definitely don't like that. Let's talk about Jermaine Illuminor, who's been on X/Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it again nowadays, who has been trying to recruit already. So interesting there, because you don't see that kind of stuff that wide open in the Twitterverse there not too often, So after the loss to the Bills, Ravens quarterback Marlon Humphrey said he expected a decent turnover to the Baltimore's roster there next season. Now he's under contract for several years, but he also noted the team had an out in his contract. Though, to be honest, we don't know the details of the out. That's not public knowledge. Jermaine Illuminor shared a tweet of Humphrey on X, which, by the way, if it's not Twitter anymore, why do we still call it tweets?
Reacts
needs a new name for that. Just saying. But he said, "I heard you wanted to come play in New York." Now, Micah Parsons of the Cowboys for some reason got in the mix and shot back at Illuminor and said, "You're really pitching to someone who has Lamar?" And then Illuminor went back and said, I'm shooting my shot. I'm trying to win next season." Now, I give credit to Illuminor. I really do. I think that it's a nice thing that he's trying to get people out there. It's him outwardly saying, "Hey, this is a good place to come. This is a good place to play." And I like that part of it there. If we can get Humphrey, sign me up in a heartbeat, guys. I don't think we're going to be able to. Let me be very clear on that first off. But if we could, he's a 4-time Pro Bowler with a 81.0 PFF grade last year, including an 83.3 coverage grade. He also had 6 interceptions, top amongst corners in the NFL last year, and was a first-team All-Pro. That would be a hell of a get for the Giants.
Yeah.
A hell of a get. But at the reverse side of that, if you're the Ravens, even if hypothetically you want to make changes to your roster, is that a change you'd want to make to your roster? Oh, we have a guy who's considered the best corner in all of football. Let's get rid of him. Does that make any sense whatsoever? In a passing league, when to get to the Super Bowl, AFC Championship, whatever, you're going to have to go through probably either Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or, dare I say, Joe Burrow, depending what happens with the Bengals next year. There's a lot of really good quarterbacks in that conference. And they're going to have to go through them. You would not want to get rid of the top corner in the NFL.
No.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's just him joking around and taking a shot in the dark there and hoping, you're throwing up crap against the wall and hoping something sticks kind of situation. But I give Jermaine Illuminor credit for doing it. I really do. I like him a lot. I do. I think I hope he's a long-term Giant. Unfortunately, we got him a little bit when he's, almost 30 here, but,
well, later his career, if you will.
The middle of the career. But I mean, hopefully we have the next 5 years or so and he continues being that guy. He seems like a good locker room guy. He's doing this kind of stuff for him. I'm a big fan. I'm definitely liking him more than I thought I would, even. I thought I liked him to begin with. We talked about him when we got Brasillo, obviously. It's a great option. But I think he's exceeded those, the potential there. Because he was really good at right tackle. He was at least adequate at left tackle. And he does the right things in the locker room by all accounts. And now he's doing this kind of stuff in the offseason. So, yeah, like I said, quietly a much better move to get Jermaine Illuminor last year than I think some people give credit to. So,
100%.
Yeah. All righty, guys. Let's pay the bills real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and go into a couple more topics here. We got 4 more topics to go into.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. Buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, guys. And of course, as always, if you want to support the show, you can go ahead and do super chats on YouTube. You can do stars on Facebook, or if you want to just do the freeway, we're fine with that as well. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share, tell a friend. Because guys, we suck point blank at marketing. If it wasn't for y'all helping spread the message of the show, we'd probably have like 2 listeners or 2 watchers per episode, and that's it. So,
thanks, Deb.
And and listen, I've seen Deb in Facebook groups when people are like, oh, getting a good podcast, and she's one of the I've seen her before say 2 giant goofballs point blank. So, people like that doing that kind of stuff really does help as well, or even sending out text messages or messages to friends saying, hey, I found the show. I think you guys might like it. Because we're on pace right now to have another record-breaking month for the show, guys. And that's after having a record-breaking show last month as well. So we're actually already in our second biggest month on YouTube, for example, we've ever had. And we still got 8 more days to go. So it's because all y'all, telling people about it, sharing the message, letting people know about it. So like I said, we much appreciated it, you guys doing that there. So, all right. And look who we got here in the comments section. Harry the Greek himself. There he is. The man, the myth.
There we go.
There he is. Maybe he might even pop on if he wants the link. Shoot me a message, Harry. But yeah, like I said, let's go into the other topics we got here going on. So first off, got to talk about the all-rookie team. We got a couple Giants named to the Pro Football Writers Association all-rookie team. Now, not as many as I'd like to have on there, but we had a couple. So Tyrone Tracy was listed as the second best running back to the Bucs' Bucky Irving. He had a little bit on
fair.
His injury, I think, kind of was hurting him towards the end of the season there. So I think, that's why Irving passed him in the long run. Not to put an excuse on it, but it is what it is. That's where it is. Malik Neighbors came up as the top wide receiver they had on their team as well. So, a couple of Giants there, definitely. So Malik Neighbors on the year, 109 receptions, 1,204 yards, 7 touchdowns. Tyrone Tracy, 192 rushes, 839 yards, 5 touchdowns. And then if you go to the receiving end as well at that point there, another 38 catches for 284 yards. So again, guys, we got, two different Giants now listed as being, some of the best rookies in the NFL. Now, there's two other guys I would have liked to see on there. Tyler Nubin and Drew Phillips.
Noobs.
And I think part of it is the system, the way they did it. So they didn't do like a full-on, roster of rookies. They just did like a starting lineup, and they did a basic 4-3 defense to do that. So just 2 corners, 2 safeties. I think if you created like a nickel or dime package kind of scenario, you probably would have seen, those 2 guys potentially make it. But at the very least, they were probably listed as honorable mention kind of guys. I don't want to say that they were, because they wasn't, they didn't list like, hey, here's other guys we thought about but didn't make the cut quite, But definitely these are 2 guys that are, deserving of some kudos on their rookie seasons as well, because I definitely think had good seasons. We expected out of Nubin. You and I are both pretty high on Nubin coming out. Though I am a little disappointed with the lack of ball hawk ability that I was hoping to have from him this rookie season, but maybe that'll come next year. And then you got, of course, Drew Phillips, who we said at the beginning would be a project. And I still think he's not to his top potential. He had some issues with his form and the way he moved his hips there in college, I thought, just by watching the tape. And I think Jerome Henderson did a lot to kind of move that. And it put him in position to make plays not just in the passing game, but also in the running game, where he was very effective and worked very well as a slot corner like that would just pop up and hit that running back right in the throat there. So, like I said, I think 4 guys there we have on this team that really deserve some kudos there. A lot of guys we're very happy with overall in the draft class. Theo Johnson had a great year again. I think for a rookie mid-round pick tight end, obviously he was not going to make this list with Brock Bowers having probably the greatest rookie season of a tight end ever. So
yeah,
but like I said, a good season overall though. So I said kudos to really all the Giants rookies there and the scouting department. And I hate to say Joe Shanks, I'm not a fan of Joe Shane, but he's the GM, and this was a great draft class. So if we're gonna knock him for the bad, and there's plenty of bad things he's done,
way more bad drafts than good drafts, but this is a good draft.
We got to give credit to the good. So, all righty. Next up, we got to talk about the most improved Giant according to PFF. And it's Brian Burns. I got to say, I was a little shocked by that. You don't expect the guy that you can name the most improved player to be the guy the team
just picked up,
gave a $30 million a year contract, Like that's a little insane. It's not even to the pickup. That's okay with it. If you want to say, hey, he improved so much in the system, whatever, you gave him a $30 million contract. You're already paying him as if he's one of the best defensive players in the NFL. Now, does it validate the contract somewhat? You could say that as well. I'm not trying to say it's a negative thing. It's just a weird situation, I think, overall. PFF said the Giants traded a second-round pick for Brian Burns, hoping he could inject some life into a pass rush that was lacking juice. Burns hadn't turned the elite pass rusher that the Panthers were hoping for, but he took considerable steps forward from his final season in Carolina. His sack totals remained the same, but Burns' overall effectiveness improved. He had 61 pressures this season in the first season with the Giants, the second highest total of his career, and the 13th most in the NFL. Burns thrived in creating negative plays for opposing offenses in general. His 42 stops in the NFL were a career high and the second most in the NFL behind Jonathan Cooper. And 30 of those defensive stops came against the run, an area where Burns has particularly struggled in his career. Stark improvement for an edge rusher who has the potential to be one of the best in the NFL. And they're not wrong in a lot of what they said. Like I said, my only issue is that we already paid him as if he's one of the best. We're paying for the potentially hoping he's going to be. But that's not what this is about in the end. This is about the fact that he's improved a lot and he deserves credit for improving. What they didn't mention also is he did that half the season being injured. But a lot of guys would have point blank stopped playing because the season was over. It was over.
Yeah.
I said, I give Burns a lot of credit. I really do. And I think it's well deserved that he's getting some kudos from, multiple different, avenues, not just PFF, but a lot of people noticing the difference of what he did this year and the amount of struggling he did in the injury department while still playing. That's a special skill that not a lot of people can do necessarily. So, like I said, we got to go ahead and give him a little kudos in that one.
Kudos.
Like the little candy bar. All righty. So Mel Kiper came out with his latest mock draft scenario. And I was like seeing this. I'm curious. They listen, we have our own thoughts on it, but let's be honest. Guys like Mel Kiper have a little more knowledge on what the NFL teams are looking at than we do. I'd love to sit there and tell you otherwise, but I'd be lying. So Mel Kiper in his mock, number 1 overall, Cam Ward to the Titans. Number 2 overall, Travis Hunter to the Browns, which of course leaves the Giants number 3 overall, getting Shedeur Sanders. And I love that he's saying that, because what have we been saying all along, Rob?
Oh, that we're probably going to get Sanders.
But this is exactly what you and I said was going to happen here at the first 3 picks there, the way it looks right now. Again, things can change because there's still time, but as it looks right now, Kiper said, this is the best case scenario for the Giants. Their Week 17 win over the Colts slid them to number 3 overall, and now finding a new QB1 in the first round isn't guaranteed. But Daniel Jones is gone, and Drew Lock is a free agent, so the Giants have to do something to clean up one of the worst passing games in the league. New York will be weighing all options, and it might ultimately be forced to trade up into the top 2 to get its guy. But here Sanders falls into the Giants' lap without any extra moves. Sanders is super accurate, completing 74% of his throws this season. He could step in right away and lift the entire offense, including standout 2024 first-rounder Malik Neighbors. Time is running out for GM Joe Schoen and Coach Brian Daboll. They have to get this right.
They're not wrong.
No, they're not at all. They're really not. A lot of what he said is wrong. And I got to say, I was trying not to go bob my head like he does the entire time. That guy, like, he can't keep his head still when he's talking. It's hilarious. His hair just bouncing up and down as he's, But listen, Mel Kiper's been, I hate when they say best in the game. I won't say necessarily that, but the guy's been around for 40 freaking years doing this. He's one of the OGs, basically, of NFL draft, if not the OG. And a lot of what he said, like you said, is right. The Giants have to do something because they're going to lose. They're losing time with the GM and coach here, where if the things don't improve, they've already been told they're going to be gone. And then on top of that, you're losing precious time with your wide receiver who's still on a rookie deal and cheap. It thinks this is the time. It's just a matter to, say, can we go ahead and count on these guys, whether it's Ward or Sanders, to be the guy? And that's the question still. Kiper seemed to think so.
Yeah.
And I said on the show plenty of times, Ward higher ceiling, Sanders higher floor. I think Sanders is the safe for the 2 picks. But I think Ward has the potential to be that franchise-changing quarterback, but I think it'll take him a year or 2 to get there.
Yeah. So if you're looking at Daboll and Shane, do you take the guy that might be the project where you're gonna have to wait 2 or 3 years to see his full potential? Or you take the safer pick?
And it's not even that. Do they? But can they? That's the big question. Yeah. Can they? Because if it takes a year or 2, who's going to be quarterback in the meantime? There's some people who literally say the Giants have to get in the playoffs this year or else they're done.
Yeah, or make stride like they're going to, and maybe bad luck happens in the year, then you're like whatever, but not whatever, but injury happens and it might save them. But you pick up Cam Ward and you go from 3 wins and you get maybe 6 or 7 wins. It's probably not good enough to save their career, but you pick up Sanders, if you get 9 wins and miss the playoffs,
yeah,
then there's a talk do they keep the job?
Yeah, and we're gonna find out, I guess, because I don't think the Giants are gonna have a tremendously amazing season. I really just don't see it. I don't. It's hard to go from one of the worst teams in the league to being even a mid team like that. You want to see the next tier. You want to see some improvement. But if we're like, let's say 7-10 or 8-9, that's an improvement. Is that good enough to keep their job? I don't know. And is Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward going to be good enough to get them to get that job? But Sanders is probably the guy that you could throw in there of the two and would have the better rookie season right off the bat.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's what we've been saying pretty much from the get-go of talking about quarterback play.
Yeah, and I think that's who they like. That's still the vibe I get, is that's who they want. So we'll find out. But that's what I think, personally. So, all righty. We got one more bit of news here for you guys, and then we'll get into your comments. We got Boogie. Boogie's gone. Boogie Basham leaving for the Carolina Panthers.
Oh my God. You know how you make a tissue dance? You blow a boogie into it.
What? Wow. Okay. Anyway, off that disgusting one there, Boogie Basham is officially signed on for the Carolina Panthers there. They signed him to a reserve futures deal there, so that makes it guaranteed him a spot in camp. Not really much beyond that, but listen, I don't like it that we didn't get him. Don't get me wrong. He's not a great player by any stretch of the imagination, but he's at least somebody who won't go out there and fully embarrass himself. He's decent against the run. He provides you absolutely nothing against the pass. Again, not a great player.
Yeah, they just talked about him like last episode.
Yeah, that's funny because we didn't even post that episode, like the segment of that episode yet as a single video yet. But it's like you get to this part where it's like you had a room that's thin last year, and now it's even thinner. That's not a good thing. Now, Don't get me wrong. We can get much better players than Boogie Basham potentially. This is not oh my God. But when you said that last year, who'd we have at edge? You got Burns and Thibodeau, obviously. Okay. You got Azeez Ojulari, who's a free agent as well. Now you lost Boogie Basham. So as of right now, guys, Timon Fox is your third best edge rusher?
Doesn't look good.
That's not good. That's not good. Another hole to fill. Again, not that it's the worst hole to have to fill because you can still upgrade over him. It's just another spot. That's all. So.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get into the comments here. Dakota comments first at it's 9:01 as I tell them that Rob has tardiness issues. He says,
no.
Yes. Dakota says, how does this GM have a job? We've been asking that same question, Dakota, for a while now. Debs, I heard something interesting on Giants Insider tonight. Giants had every intention of drafting Barkley and Lamar. Eagles got wind of it and made a deal with the Ravens. I don't know if that's...
I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, I don't think the Eagles getting word of that. I mean, maybe the Ravens got word of it. I could see that. That's a potential situation there. But I can't see the Eagles, getting wind of it and calling around players to block us on that. Especially because a lot of people didn't think Lamar Jackson was that good. There was literally some GMs that wanted to switch him to wide receiver, supposedly.
Yeah.
I feel like the Ravens just traded down because they wanted the 5th-year option, which is smart. If you think that is it like same as the Giants, like they have the number 1 overall pick in the 2nd round, I believe, if I'm correct. This is off the top of my head there, but I believe that's correct. If the Giants traded back into the late of the 1st round just to get a 5th-year option because they want to get a quarterback in the 2nd round, let's say a guy like Dart or Milrow they really like and they want to get him, it would make sense to trade with somebody who's like the Bills, the Chiefs, something like that, and maybe give up a 4th round, 3rd round pick or whatever just to get the 5th round option. Sorry, 5th-year option. Is it a risk? Of course. Would I like losing the pick? No. But I could see how they could potentially do that, Jay Ferry says, I find that hard to believe, Deb. He says, could be. Sickening if true. And then Jay Ferry points out that was true with Devonta Smith. See, the difference with Devonta Smith is that the Cowboys and Eagles traded to block us in that case. That is definitely the case. That's definitely and then says, but they were looking at getting off Wentz, so if there's much value, it sounds far-fetched. Yeah, I don't see so. There's Harry again. Jay Ferris, I like your content, but you spam my feed with clickbait videos all day. It's not all day. Listen, YouTube's only allowed to send 3 per day to subscribers. So if you're getting more than 3, it's on YouTube, not me. So that maxes out at 3. Joe 2 times up and says, hopefully he can make more impact play, game-breaking plays. And I'm sorry, I don't know what segment that was on there, so I don't know, but I think it was on Brian Burns, maybe?
Yeah.
And then says Titans GM reportedly might not take a quarterback at 1. Yep, we talked about that. And then Jay Ferry says Burns is only 26. His contract is not bad. His contract is only not bad if he ends up being elite. That's the thing. We're paying him to be elite. So, he's got all the time in the world to do it. Like, I'm not saying he can't be. I'm just saying he has to be. That's what it boils down to. Andre says, good evening, Drew, Rob, and chat. We're ready to see Shedeur and TJ in New York. If we get Shedeur, I think TJ waiting on the second day if he stays until 24. Ha ha ha. Which TJ? Just trying to make sure we're on the same page here.
Oh, keep going because it's in the comments.
No, he says TJ Hushmanzada. It's not TJ Hushmanzada. He says just because of the last name. Joe 2 times. Eagles have been sabotaging the Giants for a long time. Listen, Giants don't need any help in sabotage. Let's be very frank on that. We can sabotage ourselves like the best of us. Trust me. Andre says even if they're not related. Is there a TJ Hushmanzada? We haven't, like I said, we haven't done too much on the on the draft yet as far as besides quarterbacks. So let's see. I'm looking it up right now because now I'm curious. Okay. Yeah, there is apparently. Nope. No, it's not. He's saying this is talking about them being not involved. The actual teacher Hushmanzada. Now you got me curious. Now I'm curious more what he's talking about. Let's see. Jay Ferris, we sabotage ourselves too. Yep.
Yeah.
And says Lamar was picked 32. Exactly. And that's why I'm saying it makes sense in that scenario. It really does. And he says regarding Burns being elite, all the top edge contracts are old. That's why Burns and Josh Allen Hines contract look inflated. Oh no, you're 100%. We talked about that. Not a lot of these guys are coming up in the next year or two because they signed deals 2-3 years ago. So probably the year after, they're going to start popping up. But
yeah, Monday we talked about that, right? Monday was Thursday.
Yeah, but Monday. Part of the problem is that we're projecting what we think these guys will get paid their next deal. But some of them are getting a little older and a little long in the tooth there at that point. TJ Watt's getting a little older. He's getting a little older.
He's definitely going to break Burns' contract.
Oh no, I'm not saying he won't. But what I'm saying is, he's not going to get breaking record kind of contract because he's going to be a little more up there by the time he's a free agent. There's going to be people that are going to be a little hesitant to do that. When you've got a guy like Burns, if Burns hit the market, to be very frank, he probably would have gotten more. Probably would have gotten more because somebody would have gone crazy for that potential. But, looks like he got one more year on TJ Watt. He'll be 32 when he's a free agent. So, yeah, he might get then that massive of a payday. Daniel Hunter, like I said, he is another guy that I know is going to be coming up soon. He had another great year as well. That guy, I don't know why he didn't get more attention when he was a free agent there. He's got one more year, and then he's a free agent as well. So those two will both be on the market next year. So that'll probably drive it up. But again, he's still going to be a top 5 contract probably for an edge rusher. He's not a top 5 edge rusher. He's a top 10. I'll give you that. Top 10, top 15. The worst. Yeah,
and like I was saying Monday, the market's about to change. Listen, all these deals are going out to different studios like Prime and all that. The cap's about to increase.
Yep.
Which it does every year after year. And this is what it's going to look like for the markets for the edges. This is what it's going to look like.
Yep. Well, we'll see. Time will tell. And then Hirsch for real says Giants clearly want Ward or Sanders. I don't disagree on that. I don't. Just a matter of which one they really want. So
hopefully more the Ward than Sanders, but
we'll find out.
Tomato at this point.
We'll find out. Like I said both have pros and cons. I'm not going to be upset either way, to be honest. So All right, guys, that's gonna call it a night for us here. We'll be live again for you guys tomorrow. Of course,
Tomorrow.
Eastern Standard as always.
9:02. Tomorrow.
With that, of course, we're always live on YouTube, Facebook, X/Twitter, Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite,
First like that.
my LinkedIn profile. And of course, with that, then we're also going to be live on. Sorry, not live. We're going to be available on all the audio podcast platforms the next day as well. Usually about 5 o'clock when they'll drop there. That'll be on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, all the big ones there. So again, if you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. You can do the video, you can do the audio, you can do both. We definitely appreciate you guys for watching / listening, whichever way you're doing. We'll be back again tomorrow night as always. Like I said, we'll have more of the Giants news here. And with that, then we'll probably go ahead and also give you guys some more info on the our reviews as well. We have a couple more positions to go over, as Jay says, live 8 times a day. We're not live 8 times a day. I still have a job. In fact, my boss is texting me while we're doing the show. I gotta call her afterwards. So like I said, we'll be back though tomorrow. We will be live once tomorrow at 9 p.m. So appreciate you guys again. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. And of course, as always, Giant fans, go G-Man!
Go G-Man! G-Man! What's today, G-Man?
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.